Hello, 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 and welcome back to Mondays with Matt. This show is going to be a special one because this show I want to share with you a little bit about a topic that I think is so important, and it's something that we all get to do in our lives. The theme of today's show is waking up. My name is Matt Shaffer. I am a transformational speaker and coach for women. I coach women around relationship, empowerment, and connection. I'm obsessed with what I do, and I absolutely love it. And this is my weekly show, Mondays with Matt, my weekly show on personal development, transformation, emotional intelligence, all the things that I am learning and loving in real time. I come with you to share them with you every week. And if you're watching this on YouTube, welcome. So happy to have you on my channel. Take a second, hit that little subscribe button, and I would love to have you as part of the tribe over here on YouTube. Waking up. Waking up. What do you think it means to wake up? What does waking up mean to you in your life? I know we all wake up on one level, right? We wake up every morning, we get out of bed, we go to whatever job we have, we go to whatever we do. That is one level of waking up. Is that what waking up means to you? How has waking up played a role in your life? Because I can tell you from my own perspective that the concept of waking up has been the most important process that I have had in my life. And I'm going to share with you as we go through this topic, I'm going to share with you a little bit about what it means to wake up and how my awakenings have played a role in my own journey. Because I am only where I'm at, doing the work that I'm doing, supporting the people that I'm supporting, the thousands of people that I'm supporting across various avenues in my life because of the fact that I awakened to a lot of truths, to a lot of realities about who I am, what I'm here to create. And all of the things that I have awoken to are available to you. And I want to invite and encourage you to wake up to who you truly are and to what's truly possible for you. Give me a 1 if you want to join me in that. What have you woken up to in your life? Why do you think waking up is important? I'd love for you to share with me that. I'd love for you to share with me the role that this has played in your life. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the concept of waking up. Waking up implies what? It implies in order to wake up, you have to be what? You have to be asleep. Exactly. In order to wake up, we have to be asleep. And can you acknowledge that at certain points in your life, maybe and even up to right now, that there are things in your life that you are unconscious to, that you are asleep about? Because a lot of people, frighteningly, don't even realize that they are asleep. Isn't that interesting to think about? Brenda says, fortune favors the bold. Yes, it does. Fortune favors the bold. Fortune favors the people who are willing and ready to wake up. Wake up to what's possible for them. Wake up to the reality of who they are. Because when you are asleep, when you are unconscious, when you are disconnected from who you are, you're going to believe what everybody else has told you. You're going to be operating under a conditioned state. You are asleep to your true power, to the limitlessness of who you are, to the growth, to the expansion, to the possibilities that are available to you. And I want to invite each and every one of you to take a second and look at where might you be asleep in your life right now? What can you wake up to? Can you wake up to the truth of the relationship that's not working for you? Can you wake up to the truth of the job or the career that's not supporting you? Can you wake up to the fact that you are settling for so much less than what's possible for you in your life? Can you wake up to the fact that you are not living from possibility, that you are living from fear, that you are living from doubt, that you are living from scarcity, that you are living from limitation? And you think that it's real, but it's not. None of that is real. You are not your limitations. You are not your fears. You are not your doubts. You are not your trauma. You are not your wounds, no matter how real they feel and no matter how much they hurt. That is not who you are. You get to wake up from that reality, from that nightmare that your pain defines you, that your past defines you, that your story defines you. You are beyond definition. You are beyond limitation. That is not who you are. You get to wake up to the truth. The truth that you are limitless. The truth that you are greater and stronger and deeper and more powerful than any story that your ego has created, any limitation, any box that you've put yourself in. You get to wake up from that. Because I was living in a grand delusion. Up until six, seven years ago, I was asleep. I was living on autopilot. And where had that gotten me? It got me into $250,000 in debt. It got me through 2 failed careers. It got me into a period of drug addiction. It got me into a place where I was on the verge of death. I was on the verge of death because I refused to wake up. I allowed my fear and my conditioning and my pain and my limitations and my programming and doing what everybody else thought that I was supposed to do had got me down into the abyss. And it wasn't until I was facing death. I was facing death. I was on the edge of the ledge that I decided, you know what? I need to try to figure out why things aren't working out for me. I need to wake up before I get pulled all the way under and I never get to wake up. And so many people don't ever wake up, do they? Give me a 1 if you have people in your life who chose to sleep their entire lives, who chose to remain disconnected and unconscious from what was possible for them. How many people in your life can you think about right now that aren't living up to what's possible for them, than to the greatness that you see possible for them? Give me a 1 if you have people who are settling for less than they're worthy of, from less than they're capable of. Do you have anybody out there? Give me a 1. Give me a 1 if you know people in your life right now who have sold out on themselves. Real talk. It's real talk time tonight. These are people who are not conscious. They are not conscious to the possibilities that are available to them. They are asleep to those things. Here's the thing, and you know what's funny? You know what's interesting? Exactly. They are asleep to the options that are available to them. They are unconscious. They are disconnected from those options. So I want you to think about, how can you be an alarm for them? How can you help the people around you wake up to what's possible for them? What can you do? How can you be the reminder? How can you be that lipstick, that message on their mirror? Helping them understand, guiding them towards a connection to what's possible for them. That's the Matt Challenge number 1. How can you help the people around you wake up to what's possible to them, to their strengths, to their gifts, to their genius? That's so much of what I do as a coach to the people that I work with, right? Is help them understand that they are limitless, that they are so profoundly worthy of love and abundance and of joy and of freedom. Our birthright is infinity. Our birthright is limitlessness. And we get to wake up to that. And one of the greatest ways you can do that is to support the people around you. Praise them. Acknowledge them. Let them know what you love about them. How infrequently do we do that to the people around us? We watch the people around us sell out on themselves. Settle for less than what they're worthy of. Settle for less of a relationship. We're complicit in the misery of those around us. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we're so fucking resistant to calling out the people around us? Why do you think that is? I'm going to ask you guys. Why do you think we are afraid to stand for the greatness of those around us? Why do you think we are afraid to serve as a wake-up call to the people around us? Carol says hurt feelings. Yeah, hurt feelings, absolutely. That's a part of it. We're afraid of hurting their feelings. We're afraid of bruising their egos, right? We're afraid of threatening their worldview. Why else? Why else do you think we would be resistant to helping others wake up? Because here's what, okay, because Sarah says because people don't want to hear it. Exactly. Brenda says, I'm not afraid to wake people up. Good, Brenda. And I want to throw something out there. And this is just something for you to chew on in your head now that, we're digging into this topic. I think one of the reasons we're afraid or we are resistant to waking people up is because we're afraid that maybe, just maybe, they might wake us up too. We're afraid of calling people out and standing for their greatness because we're afraid that they might turn around and do the same damn thing back to us. Yeah, Latoya nails it because a small part of ourselves is asleep too. Exactly, Sarah. And this is what I want to throw at you, and this is what I want to challenge you guys, is that no matter where you're at in your own development, no matter how far you've gone, no matter how much work you've done, no matter how woke you think you are, I guarantee you, you are asleep to some of the possibilities that are available to you. You are asleep to your higher levels of greatness. You are asleep to what is your next level. You have resistance to it. Your ego has convinced you on some level that this is as good as it gets. You've done enough work. Just stop. You've done enough, right? But is it ever enough? Are you ever limited? Are you ever finite? Is it ever done? Is your journey ever done? The journey of expansion that you came here as a being to engage in and to create. Is the act of creation and expansion ever truly done in your life? What do you think? It's not. Expansion never ceases unless you decide. Fear, exactly. Our ego convinces us, it tricks us that it's over. It tricks us that we don't need to grow anymore, that we don't need to serve anymore. And in doing so, it cuts us off. It puts us to sleep, right, from that next level. And I am here to be your wake-up call. And I'm here to tell you that part of the reason that you are resistant to standing for the greatness of those around you and standing for their greatest possibility is that there's a little part of you that's afraid that they might turn around and say, guess what? If you're going to say this to me, then I'm going to say this to you. You're selling out on yourself. You're selling out on your next level, because there is a next level for each and every one of you that you don't see fully. I'll be the first one to say I don't fully see. I'm terrified a little bit of my own vision. My ego fights me tooth and nail on the profound capacity of the difference I want to make in the world. My ego gets so wrapped up in the how are you going to influence millions of people? How are you going to go from where you're at right now to the grand vision for the international impact, the global vision, the global community that you want to create? How are you possibly going to do that? My ego sits there and it tries to beat me over the head with that. It tries to disconnect me from that all the time. And I get to sit there in that fire and say, it doesn't matter how I'm going to get there. I get to continue to choose to wake up every day. I get to choose to wake up to my next level every day. I get to step forward into my next step, into my next level every day. I don't need to know how I'm going to get all the way there. That's not what this is about. Step by step, incremental, consistent change. You set that fucking alarm clock every day. You slap it every morning. You get up and you get to work. You get up and you take another step. You get up and you take on your ego. You take on your fear. You take on your limitations. You take on your scarcity. Every day, you do it. You don't get to hit the snooze button for your life. You don't get to hit the snooze button for your journey. Give me a 1 if you're committed to waking up every day, waking up to your next level, waking up to your next expansion. Are you with me on this? And I want you to look at, where are you sleeping right now in your life? Where are you sleeping on what's possible for you? Where are you selling out on what's possible for you? Where are you holding yourself small? Is it in relationship? Is it in abundance? Is it in your money? Is it in your business? Is it in your marriage? Is it in your physical fitness? Is it in your health? Where are you selling out on yourself? Allow me to be your wake-up call. Allow me to be your alarm clock. That's what I'm here to do. Ring, 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 motherfucker. This is what I'm here to do for each and every one of you, is to tell you that no matter what you're doing, you could be doing more. No matter how much you're growing, you could be growing more. And I'm not sitting here trying to diminish or devalue the work that you're doing. I am happy for you, and the fact that you're here, connecting with me is the reality, is the fact that you are, you're willing to do the work and you're willing to face yourself. But let me be a mirror for the fact that there is more possible for you. There is another level. There is another cut. And in some way, you are hiding. In some way, you're playing small. I sit here and I tell myself, Matt, you have creative exhaustion. This is the story my ego tells me. Matt, how can you, keep coming up with YouTube videos and, keep coming up with content for your course and keep coming up with content for the show and keep repurposing everything and you don't have a team, you don't have anything. You're burnt out. You can't keep doing this. It's not sustainable. Bullshit, it's not sustainable. I'm continuing to do it and I love it. And as long as I give myself what I need, as long as I get the sleep, as long as I manage my mindset, as long as I manage my emotions, as long as I reach out for support, I am an infinite creator. You think it's possible for me to run out of ideas? Of course not. I'm limitless. And I know I can do this. This is my purpose. This is my destiny. This is me living my vision one day at a time. And I am locked in on this. And all this whining that my mind is doing and my ego is doing, that I'm suffering from creative exhaustion, it's just a story. I get to wake up to that. And I tell myself that. And I have that conversation with myself. My ego tells me, Matt, it's over. You can't keep doing this. You need to take it back. You need to stop posting so many videos to your YouTube channel, or you need to It's just like, forget it. I'm done. I'm done trying to talk myself out of my own next level. It's freaking absurd. And so look at that. What story are you telling yourself that's allowing you to play small, that's allowing you to sell out, that's allowing you to stay asleep? Think about it. Sarah says, I'm trying, just mentally and physically exhausted at the moment, trying to go forward and wake up. And Sarah, I feel you. I'm mentally exhausted too. I'm physically exhausted too. And you know what happens when you're mentally and physically exhausted? You get emotionally exhausted. Am I right? Can anybody relate to that? Give me a 1 if you can relate to being mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted. And what's really interesting is that on the one hand, absolutely practicing self-love, practicing self-care, refilling your cup is extremely important. But there's something else interesting that happens, is that once you hit mental and physical and emotional exhaustion, guess what? You have so much more to give. There is so much more possible for you. You have such a greater capacity than you probably know. You have such a greater capacity to give, such a greater capacity to serve, such a greater capacity to connect, and gifts to share with the world. Every time I think I've hit an edge or I've hit a limit for myself, it ends up being a complete illusion if I just take a deep breath and believe in myself and take another step forward. And what's so fascinating is that what you learn about yourself when you step through that point that you thought was a limitation can be some of the most exhilarating experiences you've ever had. Some of the greatest moments I've ever had have come on the threshold, on the other side of what I thought was my absolute limit. Some of my best YouTube videos that I've ever recorded were recorded at 1 in the morning, 1:30 in the morning, when I was so fucking tired that I literally thought I was gonna fall over. I released a video last week that got picked up and actually put on the YouTube homepage. This was a video I recorded at 2 in the morning last week after my show, when I was sitting here screaming at myself in my head, I don't want to record anymore. Why am I even doing this? All these videos are stupid. This is what that voice in my head was telling me was saying to me. Why am I even doing this? I'm not even getting paid for this. This is ridiculous. That's what the voice in my head is sitting here howling at me, that I'm having to manage, right? That I'm like committed to my vision, right? And I'm committed to consistently recording content. And so I recorded these videos even though I was completely exhausted, and I posted one last week, and I have in the last week gotten like almost 1,000 new subscribers in a week. It took me 4.5 months to get my first 2,000. I've gotten 1,000 in a week. I've gotten like 40,000 views. Like, it has literally 10x the traffic on my YouTube channel because I chose to stand in the fire of what I thought was a limitation and push on through to the other side. Can you believe that? Your limitations are an illusion. What you think is your final stopping point, it doesn't actually exist. And I want you to wake up to that. Give me a 1 if you can wake up to that. If you can wake up to the fact that what you feel are your limitations and what you think is the bottom of your cup, it really isn't. Sending a breakup letter to your resistance, sending a breakup letter to your limitation, to your scarcity, to your fear, to your not enoughness. That's a beautiful exercise. I absolutely love that. Absolutely, I completely love that. I have another client who's in the process of going through a divorce, right? And she's terrified about, money when it comes to her divorce, right? Like her money, as far as the money, she's got tangled up with her husband. And I asked her, well, what's your relationship with money outside of her husband? And she's like, well, my relationship with money has been great outside of just the relationship I have with my husband and our money. And I'm like, okay, well, how about you write a love letter to your money? Write a love letter to your money, right? Addressing your relationship with money, celebrating the role that money has played in your life, throughout your life, and how it's never been an issue for you and how it's going to help you. Like, write a love letter with gratitude for how it served you up until now and how excited you are for the relationship that you two get to have in the future. How freaking fun is that? How cool is that, right? And she's excited to do that. And so really, like, looking at your relationship with all these things, waking up to the reality that we have a relationship with the world around us. We are so intimately connected to everything and everyone around us. Can you wake up to that? There's so many things we can wake up to. We can wake up to what's not working for us in our lives. We can wake up to all the beliefs and all the limitations that we thought we conquered, but guess what? We're just coming up against the same beliefs at a different level. My resistance and my fear and my scarcity and all of the stuff that I'm coming up against right now, it's the same stuff that I was coming up against 2 years ago. It's just happening at a much bigger scale now because I'm playing a much bigger game now. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying waking up is a choice we get to make every day. It's a choice we get to make up every morning. It's a choice we get to wake up to every time our ego tells us to stand down. We get to wake up to the fact that that is an illusion. Every time our ego tells us to settle for a relationship, that's 60% of what we want. We get to wake up to the fact that that's bullshit and that there's so much more available to us. Every time we're feeling that desire to just stop, to just pull back, that you've done enough, that there's no more available to you. You get to wake up to the fact that it's never done and you can't do it wrong. Just keep moving forward. Keep embracing the beautiful, expansive process that life is. Fall in love with the mystery of our world and of yourself. You don't need to know everything about yourself. Allow yourself to be a mystery to you. A mystery that you'll never solve, but you can always keep collecting clues and going further down different rabbit holes. Because here's the thing, you will never fully figure yourself out. You will never fully know the answer. The answer of who you are, the answer of what's possible for you, because that will continue to evolve every day as long as you continue to keep waking up. And that is the other Matt challenge. In addition to waking up those around you and standing for the greatness of those around you, you get to look at where do you get to wake up in your life? Where do you get to recognize that you're playing small, that you're holding back, that you've allowed yourself to stop growing and stop developing? Where does that look like? Where are you doing it? Feel free to call it out. I'd love to see it in the comments. I'd love to see where you guys think this is happening in your own life. Wake up to your own magnificence. Wake up to the perfection of the present moment, the perfection of your life. Wake up to the fact that everything that you are experiencing right now is happening for you. It is not happening to you. Wake up to the fact that you will never be the victim of your own life unless you say so. Wake up to the fact that there is always a choice. You are never trapped. Wake up to the fact that you are not defined by your past. You are not defined by your present. You are not defined by your relationship. You are not defined by the opinions or judgments of others. The only person who can ever define you or limit you is you. Wake up to your power. Your power to create your life or your power to destroy your life. You are the alpha and the omega of your experience in this world. Can you all relate to that? Give me a 1 if you can relate to that. Give me a 1 if you're ready to wake up. Give me a 1 if you're ready to step out of what you have determined is your little pocket, right? Your little comfort zone pocket. Give me a 1 if you're willing to make the choice to consciously choose to wake up every day and find a new area of your life to step through the fire into. Because I cannot allow anyone that I'm connected to remain asleep. To remain asleep to what's possible for them. To remain asleep to their own greatness. To remain asleep to the perfection of their life. And every challenge that they are having is perfect. Every experience, every breakthrough, every breakdown, it's all perfect. Nothing is happening by accident. Nothing is a mistake. Everything is happening for you. Release the judgment. Release the narrow-mindedness. Release the comparison. When are you going to wake up that nobody is greater or lesser than you? When are you going to wake up to that? When are you going to wake up to the fact that all these people on Instagram crowing about how great their lives are and showing you pictures of their Lamborghini and their perfect ass and their perfect family and their perfect whatever, it's none of it's any greater or lesser than anything that you have in your life. And it's not your job to judge them. It's not your job to put them as higher or lower than you. It's not your job to look at their life and decide that you are less than them. You are a sacred, limitless being. And you have a right to whatever it is that you want to create in this world. Your only job is to figure out what that is. And your only job is to wake up to the fact that the only one who's ever going to be able to create it is you. And if you do not take the time and the ownership of your own life and your own power, then you will need to wake up to the fact that you are your own worst enemy. And you are the only one standing between you and everything that you want. You're the only one. You can't blame it on anybody else. Ring, 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 motherfucker. I hate to be the bearer of tough news, right? But this is the world that I'm living in every day. So I am here to share it with all of you. Oh my gosh, this has been fun. Amy said, wow, did I wake up? Okay, so just to give you a little sense of my own journey here that I've had 3 major awakenings in my own life. The first awakening I had was my personal development awakening. It was after I had 2 failed businesses and I was a miserable, self-loathing, miserable man, failed entrepreneur, right, with a restaurant that's circling the drain. And I was a prisoner of my own misery, right? I couldn't even be alone with my thoughts because my constant thought process was, I'm a failure, I'm a failure, I'm a failure. I'm 30 years old, I've blown it, my life is over, right? I'm $250,000 in debt and I've got 2 failed businesses and I'm in my 30s, it's over. And my personal development awakening was when I joined a mastermind and I started doing inner work and I started listening to my thoughts and I started realizing and recognizing that I could change my thoughts, that I could change my relationship with myself, that I could actually work on myself. Discovering personal development was a profound awakening to what was possible for me, that I didn't have to be a slave to these horrible thoughts that I was having. And that I awakened to the fact that I could get support from people around me. Do you realize how profound that was for me? To join a mastermind of other entrepreneurs and realize that other people out there were struggling the same way that I was? Right, so my first awakening was around personal development and inner work. It was realizing I could manage my thoughts. It was realizing I could do work on my beliefs. It was realizing that I could begin to figure myself out. It was the beginning of me understanding that I had an ego and that there was something else there. I wasn't doing deep work yet, but I was looking at my thoughts and I was working on myself and I was journaling, and it was really profound. The next major awakening, the second major awakening, was my spiritual awakening. This one was mind-boggling. I had an experience with a spiritual healer as part of a random series of cosmic serendipitous events that I can't get into, that I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole with y'all right now. But I had a spiritual healer touch the small of my back for 5 seconds, and I had a full-blown spiritual awakening. I felt my connection to cosmic, I felt my connection to source, right? To the universal consciousness. And my entire experience of reality changed. I realized that the divine and the physical were happening simultaneously in the world at all times. I recognized that synchronicities existed. I traveled the world with this guy, coordinating events for him. I quit my job. I had a divine storm. I quit my job. I shut down my restaurant, filed for bankruptcy, got kicked out of my house, got fired from my job, had a near-death experience, and saved 2 people's lives, all within the span of 3 months. That was an awakening. That was a wake-up call. My entire life blew up, and I realized that the world would never be the same, right? So at this point, I had discovered my mind, right? And I had discovered my soul. Those were 2 huge awakenings. And then the third awakening, the one that really brought everything home for me, was my emotional awakening, when I discovered my heart, when I did my leadership training, and I actually started to look at my emotional trauma, and I started to, tier by tier, layer by layer, forgive myself, forgive the people around me, learn to love myself at an emotional level again, realize that I was capable of not living in fear, that I was capable of loving myself, that I was capable of truly and deeply and selflessly and unconditionally loving others. That was when I had that third awakening. That's when I recognized that I could change the world. That was it. And that was when I decided to become a coach and a speaker. It was after that third awakening, because that's when I actually saw just a whisper of my greatness. It took 3 huge awakenings to get me there. So I'd love for you to reflect on what have been your awakenings in your life, and what would be possible if you were able to step into your next one, right? Because after I had that third awakening, that's when things got real interesting. That's when life went completely off into left field, right? And now I'm this infinitely expansive force, right? But it's only because I chose to stand in the fire of these awakenings and the chaos that came along with them. Give me a 1 if you can relate to an awakening bringing chaos into your life. Can y'all relate to that? That's the thing. The awakening process, it can be chaotic, it can be destabilizing, it can be devastating, it can be traumatizing in its own way, but I guarantee you, it is worth it. Okay, so I invite you to wake up. I invite you to step into your next level. I invite you to wake up to what is no longer serving you and let it go. Surrender it. Release it. I invite you to wake up to the fact that your greatest growth and your greatest expansion lies on the other side of your fears. Lies out there in the unknown. Lies out there in the abyss. Okay? And if you can do this, if you can choose to wake up, you will wake up to a life that you cannot possibly have imagined. Because to sort of end this thing where I started, you're limitless. You're not defined by anything that has happened to you, any person that you are connected to, or any label that you created for yourself. 5 years ago, 7 years ago, I couldn't even take responsibility for my own life, my own feelings, my own thoughts. I was leaving a wake of destruction behind me. Overdosing on Oxycontin, alone in the bedroom of a rental house with a failed restaurant, thinking that this was how this could end, right? And 7 years later, I have committed my life to service. I have awoken to so many layers of what's possible for me, and I know that this is just the beginning. And the 500,000 views I have on YouTube, and the hundreds of Facebook Lives I've done, and the thousands of people that I've connected with at live events all over the country, and the hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views I've got on other social media networks, and everything else that I've done, guys, this is just a drop in the bucket, and I know that. And I get to continue to wake up to the fact that this is just the beginning. And no matter where you're at, and no matter what you've gone through, and no matter what you're committed to creating moving forward, it's just a beginning. You can change the world starting with you and starting with your own life. Okay? So listen to what the universe is telling you. Listen to what your higher self is trying to wake you up to. That is your greatest alarm clock. Trying to wake you up. Your higher self is whispering in your ear with what's possible for you. If you can just quiet the noise for just long enough to listen to it and have enough courage to believe it. Divine timing is a profoundly beautiful thing. Timing is none of our business. Okay? So if you're committed to doing this, give me a 1. If you're committed to waking up, if you're committed to finding greater areas of possibility, greater areas of expansion, if you're willing to stop hitting the snooze button, stop playing small in your life, give me a 1. Because I love you guys dearly, and I'm so excited for each and every one of you on this journey. Thank you so much for joining me today on Mondays with Matt. I didn't know how I was going to do this show. I was so exhausted. I cannot describe to you how tired I was. But just being in connection with you, going on this journey with you, it lit me up. And it always does. There's always another level for me to wake up to in what's possible for me, as long as I commit to living my purposes, and as long as I commit to being of service to the people that I love and to what I've committed my life to, right? So again, you continue to show me that there's a greater level for me to wake up to and expand into and step into every day. So thank you for being that inspiration and being that magnetic, expansive force in my life. It means a lot to me. And thank you for joining me on Mondays with Matt. If you're joining me on YouTube, take a second, hit that little subscribe button. I would love to have you on my YouTube channel. And I will see you next week on my show. Lots of love. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.